Social Security isn't normally the fast-moving, heart-pounding topic that people think about when they think about their retirement future. And that's a good thing because people don't want a lot of volatility in what's supposed to be a very stable part of their overall retirement income. So when all of a sudden change starts to happen and rumor of change starts to get out there, people tend to stay focused. And by all accounts, it looks like 2025 is going to be a big year of change for Social Security. Now, at this point, you're probably thinking, no kidding, Jeff. H.R. 82, the Social Security Fairness Act, was just signed into law by President Biden, and no one thought that was going to make it through. Yes, that's true, but I'm not referring to that, although we will get to the latest details of H.R. 82 near the end. There's a lot more to discuss than just that particular bill, or law, as the case may be. Trump campaigned on no tax on Social Security. There's a new Social Security head, which will be stepping into the seat shortly, and there are a lot of rumors out there, frankly, most of them unsubstantiated, and we're going to cover off what is rumor and what may not be rumor in this video, as well as the big changes that have already occurred and are locked in for 2025. By the way, if you're new here, hello, my name is Jeff. I'm a CPA turned author turned public speaker. I'm also a registered Social Security analyst, and I have 25 years of financial services industry experience. I started this channel in 2020 to help retirees with their finances, and there are over 300 videos with over 50 million views as of a few weeks ago, anyway, on retirement and retirement-related information. So welcome to the channel, and hopefully you like it so much you subscribe. Let's talk about the 2025 changes first by discussing what I call the Trinity. These are the three changes that most people care about. They care at least about one of them, and some people care about all three. The first is the cost of living adjustment. In 2025, all payments from Social Security are adjusted up by 2.5%. So the COLA number is 2.5%. That's down from 3.2% in the previous year. The cost of living adjustment comes out every October, and it tells the Social Security recipients what their increase is going to be in the following year. It's calculated using the change in the Consumer Price Index, and recipients who are receiving Social Security get that change in the following year. If you've deferred taking Social Security, the change is applied to your payment in addition to the scheduled increases that you receive for waiting to claim your Social Security payment. Now, I'm going to state the obvious here, and that is a lot of people think that that increase, the 2.5% increase, is insignificant. It doesn't even pay for the increased cost of Medicare year over year. I totally understand the issue. I will say that if you were given the choice between a very large cost of living adjustment, say 8% plus like we had a few years ago, or 2.5%, in most cases, you'd be far better off with a 2.5% increase because the overall cost base goes up a lot, 8% plus, when there's an 8% plus increase in your Social Security payment. And the fact is, when you live your life, unless you're living on Social Security alone, you're also living on savings and investments. And if your savings and investments aren't matching inflation, well, then you come up net negative, even if your Social Security payment is large. Next up is the Social Security earnings test. This is the test for people who are both working and collecting Social Security at the same time. Now, there are two schools of thought to this test. School number one is, why is there a test at all? I've worked for the last 20, 30, even 40 years, and I'm entitled to my Social Security payment even if I decide to work well into retirement. School of thought number two is that Social Security is there as a safety net, and so therefore if you're working and you don't need Social Security, it's better off for everybody if you don't collect it. The Social Security earnings test is the middle ground between the two. Social Security recipients can earn a certain amount every year without having to give back any of their payment to the Social Security Administration, and beyond that, you reach thresholds, and certain things happen in these thresholds. Threshold number one is what happens if you're not in your full retirement age year. In 2025, if this isn't the year that you reach full retirement age, you can earn $23,400 in income and not give any of your Social Security payment back to the SSA. Anything above $23,400, you have to give back $1 for every $2 that you earn. If this is the year that you reach full retirement age, you can earn up to $62,160 and anything beyond this amount, you have to give back $1 for every $3 above this amount. Now, there are a few points to note here. First, once you reach full retirement age, the test goes away. You can earn $1 million a year, you can earn $1 billion a year, it doesn't matter. You will receive your entire payment. The second is that if your payment is given back, or if it's just not collected because you have told them in advance that you're going to be earning in excess of a certain amount, then they can actually stop the payment from coming to you. That payment isn't gone, it's just put back into your account, so to speak, and you get that payment back in the form of a higher Social Security payment once you reach full retirement age. The second point to note is that the test only is calculated once you actually start receiving Social Security. So for example, if you're 64 years old and you decide to take Social Security in October and you've earned $50,000 up until that point, you don't have to give back $13,200 to the SSA because you're over the limit of the test. Instead, what they do is in the year that you retire, they convert the annual test to a monthly test. And so you can earn as much as you want up until you receive Social Security, and those limits are divided by 12, and you're measured on a monthly basis, not an annual basis, for the rest of that year. If you're watching this video before the 28th of February 2025, make sure you go to our website and download your free copy of our Social Security Quick Guide. It's one page, it's easy to use, and it's packed with information. And the best part is that it's up to date, at least as of today, January 8th. You can go to holyschmidt.com/quick guide for your free download. This is my gift to you. It's absolutely free and takes just a second to get your free copy. Next up is your primary insurance amount. This is the amount that you actually receive from the Social Security Administration if you wait to file for Social Security until full retirement age. The SSA indexes all of your historical earnings into today's dollars, takes the best 35 years, and divides that number by 420. And that's what's called your average indexed monthly earnings. Now, they're not going to just give you your average earnings for your entire life, for the rest of your life. They're going to haircut it using something called bend points, and the bend points change every single year. And that's what we're going to discuss next. Let's assume that you earned an average in today's dollars of $40,000 per year during the first 20 years of your career and $50,000 per year during the last 15 years of your career. Your average indexed monthly earnings would be $40,000 times 20 plus $50,000 times 15 divided by 420, or $1.55 million divided by 420. That's $3,690.48 per month. Once you receive your average indexed monthly earnings number, that number is fed into the bend point formula, and the output is your Social Security payment if you file at full retirement age. Now, the formula changes every single year. It goes up every year. For 2025, the SSA will give you 90% of your first $1,226 and 32% of the additional amount over $1,226 and less than $7,391, and then 15% of any amount in excess of that up to the cap for the year. So with an average index monthly earnings of $3,690.48, the SSA will pay you $1,891.88 if you wait to claim until full retirement age. Now let's talk about the latest information on the Social Security Fairness Act. This was signed by President Biden on January 5th, and the act repeals the windfall elimination provision and the government pension offset as of December 31st, 2023. So for all of 2024, retroactively, the GPO and the windfall elimination provision are not in effect. I've included a link to the Congressional Research Service report on HR 82. It's 4 pages. It's not difficult to read. I'll put it in the description below. And as always, I'll remind you at the end so you can continue to watch the rest of the video. Finally, I will address some of the comments and the rumors that are out there regarding Social Security legislation or lack of legislation, depending on what the rumor is, and I'll help you rumor bust some of the things that you're reading or hearing about. The first is the one that most people talk about, and that is that Trump has said there will be no tax on Social Security. Now, the history of Social Security is that in 1983 there was no tax on Social Security, but with the amendments to the Social Security Act in 1983, some payments were taxed up to 50%. 10 years later, there were additional amendments put into place, and that 50% threshold went up to 85%. So having no tax on Social Security would take Social Security back to the way it was before 1983. Supporters of this provision say that tax on Social Security is unfair because you pay into Social Security with after-tax income, and so therefore, why should you pay tax again on Social Security? Now, this is a fair point. Detractors from this say yes, but the employer's portion, the other 50% of the payment to Social Security, does create a tax deduction for the employer, and so therefore that's pre-tax income. Those not in favor also say that the Social Security trust is already due to run out in 2034, 2035, depending on which report you read, and this just makes a problem that's out there become a bigger problem. Whether you're a supporter or not of no tax on Social Security, this will likely be one of the first things out of the gate when Donald Trump becomes president, as he said it so many times during his campaign. There are some other rumors out there about some things that he said, and one of them is that he's going to cut Social Security. Now, I will say that it doesn't make sense to both have no tax on Social Security and to cut Social Security at the same time. In his 2016 campaign, he said point blank, "I'm not going to cut Social Security." In a March 2024 interview for the current race, Trump remarked, "I will never do anything that will jeopardize or hurt Social Security or Medicare." So it sounds like his position is that he's not going to cut Social Security, and frankly, there are a lot of reasons why he wouldn't cut Social Security. The biggest one is that the voting bloc of 54 million people wouldn't be too happy about that. So where does the rumor of openness to cuts come from? Well, he said in a CNBC interview that he might need to cut entitlement programs. Now, his campaign later clarified that doesn't mean Social Security, it means government waste and fraud. My personal view is that it would be pretty difficult, if not impossible, for the president to cut Social Security after making a campaign promise that he wouldn't, and actually going the other way and saying he was going to cut taxes on Social Security. 52 million people would be affected, and if you upset 52 million people, a very large percentage of that group will vote against you in the next election, and certainly in the midterms. The next rumor out there is that there's a $600 increase to Social Security payments. I'm seeing this on a lot of fast news websites. These are the ones that try to get the information out first before everybody else, and they don't fact check. There's nothing out there that suggests that this is actually true, and there would be no basis for it either. The next rumor out there is that Social Security is being privatized. There's no indication whatsoever that that's actually the case. I will make the distinction that privatization and automation are two different things. Automation is putting systems and processes in place that make things more effective. Privatization means that you're taking professional money managers and having them manage the Social Security trust. The reason that this is unlikely is that there's a legal provision that says that the government needs to take all excess funds and invest those in U.S. government bonds, U.S. government debt, bonds, notes, T-bills, I suppose. And the requirement is not an option. It's actually in the law. This means in order to change it to privatization, you would need an act of Congress, and frankly, there doesn't seem to be the support out there for this particular point. Along the same lines, there are rumors that the Social Security Trust has been raided over the years. That's actually not the issue. The Social Security Trust has been invested in U.S. government securities the entire time. No one's taken or stolen money from the trust. Where the confusion lies is what happens with the funds once they're invested in notes and bonds. And that is, they go into the general pool of money that the government uses to fund itself, to build things, to finance things. And so therefore, people assume that because the money is being used from the bonds to fund other things, that means that the trust has been raided. But these are legal obligations. They have interest payments and repayment dates, and they are just as valid in terms of their legality as investing in Microsoft bonds. Those have interest payments and they have a repayment date as well. And the interest from the investments goes back into the trust as additional cash flow that's paid out to retirees. I'm not sure how this would work if all of the funds just sat in cash, frankly, not getting any return whatsoever. It would make the trust deplete far more quickly. If you like this video, check out that video, which explains Trump's tax cuts in more detail. Also, don't forget to check the description for the link to H.R. 82, the Social Security provisions that have just been changed, the government report, and also the Social Security Quick Guide. This is Jeff Schmidt, and I will see you in that video right there.
Holy Schmidt!